My own mother was conned by a professional con artist. These people are everywhere and no one's talking about it. Old-fashioned con artists are alive and well. There are millions of them walking amongst us. They're charismatic, they're loving, appearing, they're fun, they're psychopaths.
They are willing, by definition, to do things that you are not willing to do.
Absolutely. These people don't have a soul. They are brilliant at using human nature against other humans. That's how 99% of con artists get into their victim's life. They offer to help. That's one of the red flags. My con artist, when I found out she got my money, long story short.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's start at the top on this one. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Travis Makes Friends podcast, where it's our mission to help adults build better friendships and relationships. Today on the show, I'm making friends with Johnathan Walton. Johnathan is an Emmy-winning former TV reporter and current reality TV producer who's written and produced shows for NBC, ABC, HBO, Disney+, Discovery Channel, and many others. He's also the host, writer, and executive producer of the hit podcast Queen of the Con, and in his free time, he helps fellow victims of scammers get justice. After being scammed out of nearly $100,000 by a devious con artist, Walton was turned away by police. Infuriated and armed with the investigative skills he'd gained from years as a TV reporter, he launched his own investigation and built a compelling criminal case authorities could not ignore. And now he's gone on to write a new book, The Anatomy of a Con Artist, the 14 red flags to spot scammers, grifters, and thieves. So today on the show, I thought it'd be really relevant, especially with all the, terrible things about AI coming in. There's a lot of good things, but there's also not some good things. And scamming is definitely going to be one of those not good things. You are already worried about your grandparents getting called by somebody being told that you need money or something, and then they wire the money, think it's going to you, and then they talk to you, see if you got it, and you never even knew what they were talking about. Well, now that's going to be way easier. People can replace your own voice with AI, and it's getting kind of scary out there. So I figured now would be a really timely season to bring Johnathan on the show. What's up, man? Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, and I write about this in my book, Anatomy of a Con Artist. At this point, with the level of AI and sophistication scammers are employing, we all need to have a safe word, a password amongst each other, our family, our friends, that we don't text, we don't write down, there's no proof of it existing anywhere.
You don't ask
other than
AI
verbal.
for. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have a dinner with a family and say, listen, our safe word is buffalo.
Yeah.
So if I ever call you or you ever call me and there's an emergency and I'm asking for money, if anyone's ever asking for money and there's an emergency, hospital, car wreck, jail, those are the typical ones they use on the older people, the grandparents and the parents. Yeah. What's the safe word? And the AI scammer will be like, safe word? Won't know it.
Right.
So it's crucial we all come up with a safe word in our peer groups and family.
Hey guys, Travis here, and I'm interrupting my own conversation to talk to you a little bit about the obvious, which is that you can clearly see this channel is starting from scratch. So based on a few external factors and some things internally with our team, we decided to basically move all of our long form content over to one YouTube channel. So our remaining channels that we've had existing for a long time, we're putting all of our shorts content over there, but this channel is going to be reserved for all of our long form stuff. So if you've enjoyed this conversation so far and you like this type of content, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. We could use all the love we could get, all the likes, the comments, the subscriptions over here on this channel, and I will personally get back to each and every one of you that comments on any of the videos on this channel. Shoot me a message, shoot me an email, travis@travischappell.com. I will get back to you personally. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram if that's easier, @travischappell. Either way, we're just trying to build this community and build a channel that is helpful for all of you. Whether that's for the education standpoint, some of the health and fitness experts that we bring on, or some of the comedy people that we have a good time with. We just want to make this the most valuable channel that we possibly can for you. So hit that subscribe button, like, comment on this video, and we'll chat real soon.
Yeah, this literally just happened to a friend of mine. His grandma lost, I think it was 10 or 15 grand or something.
Ouch.
And
it
was because he was in jail.
Yeah.
And somebody called.
That is such a common one.
It's a solid idea for the scammers, because like the grandma wanted to be cool. Right. So she's not calling his parents to verify anything. She's not calling the family, doesn't want it to like blow up. So she's taking care of it discreetly. And yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh, dude, fuck these people. Like I try not to, say that too often about large groups of people, but this is one of those groups of people that I'm eager to say it about.
I wouldn't even call them people.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
And they like the hustle is getting easier for them because they don't have to look people in the eye anymore. Like at least before it was like, you have to look at people. And I feel like there's a degree of difficulty that comes along with that at some point
And
in your
expertise.
journey of
Yes.
doing that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas now it's just, again, you set up a dialer and have an AI voice and you just hit go and you don't even have to think about it. You just see money hitting your account.
Yeah.
And that makes it even scarier.
Yeah. And, by comparison, there is a lot of that happening, especially today with AI, but still, old-fashioned con artists are alive and well. There are millions of them walking amongst us. They're the new boyfriend, the new girlfriend, the new coworker, the new neighbor. Mine was a new neighbor. And a lot of people don't know they're con artists because most victims, I've investigated hundreds of cases over the past 8 years, and most victims never tell anybody they were scammed. They don't go to police
Kind of
because
fear of embarrassment.
there's shame, but also it's one of the red flags I write about in my book. The red flag of, I call it TMI, too much information. When you meet a professional con artist, and this is someone who's been doing this their whole life since they were a kid and they got tons of victims.
To be clear, like right at the start here, can you like literally define that? Because like we're not talking about just like, oh, some a-hole, took $50 that they never paid back to you.
Right.
Or something.
No, a professional con artist, they enjoy doing it. They don't have a soul. They're psychopaths.
Psychopaths, yeah.
And they learn early on something's wrong with them. They have no feeling. They have no emotion. They have no empathy. And they're very smart. They're brilliant, creative people, and they learn how to cover. They learn how to compensate. So by the time you meet a professional con artist in adulthood, they've been caught a bunch of times, and they're better and better and better each time. So they're really good. They're charismatic. They're loving, appearing. They're fun. And, they enter most victims' lives. Red flag number one, I write about in my book. They offer to help you. They want to help you. The woman who scammed me was going to help me. And other victims she scammed, that was her way into their lives too. She started dating a guy on Tinder. On the first date, this guy who's a well-to-do engineer in Newport Beach, owns 2 multi-million-dollar homes. He confides in her that he had just gone through a divorce and he's not happy with a custody arrangement with his kids. So she pounces, oh, I can help. As luck would have it, or fate would have it, I'm a child custody investigator for LA County Courts. I can help you get a better custody arrangement. So immediately, this guy is like, oh, she can help with my kids. And his 2 kids are his world.
Sure, yeah.
The most important thing. So, and I write about this in the book too, because people tell me all the time, well, you're such a smart guy. How did you get scammed?
Yeah.
And I say this, con artists don't outsmart you. Con artists outfeel you. They use your emotions to get a foothold into your brain, because once you're making decisions with your heart and not your head, you're screwed. So that's how she got into this guy's life. And investigating hundreds of cases, that's how 99% of con artists get into their victims' lives. They offer to help. That's one of the red flags. Another red flag, stories from faraway places. So you meet someone new, and all of a sudden they're telling you, they did this in Rome 5 years ago. They were on the Olympic ski team in France 20 years ago. They have all these stories from faraway places, which are sexy and exciting and fun. And here's the thing about human nature. If you can't prove something is false, you're that much more likely to just accept it as true. I can't prove they're making it up. It's hard to prove the Olympic team in France 20 years ago. I mean,
when you want to believe in people.
Absolutely. My con artist told me she was from Ireland, and I just accepted it. I mean, who lies about where they're from?
Right.
Professional con artists do.
Right.
So individually, each of the red flags don't necessarily mean anything, but as they start to compound, the too kind, too quick. Red flag number 2 is too kind, too quick. They're paying for dinners. They want to buy you gifts. So they've offered to help. They're too kind, too quick. And what you mentioned earlier with the crazy phone call in jail, I call it red flag number 3. Drama, drama, drama. Once con artists get in and they get you to like them, they bring on the drama, because dramatic situations are distracting.
Yeah.
You're not going to be thinking in your right brain if something's happening, someone's in jail, someone's trying to kill me, someone was in an accident, and that's how they kind of hijack your intellect and make you care about them, make you care about the thing they created out of whole cloth, a situation that you feel strongly about and love. A con artist's mission when they meet you is to get you to love them. And here's a crazy story. My own mother was conned by a professional con artist. This was a woman, her friend, a woman I grew up with. She was a family friend. She was at every Thanksgiving and Christmas. She not only conned my mom, she conned everyone in my mother's social circle. No one talked about it.
How long was she a part of the crew?
15 years.
15 years.
Yes. So only
talk about the long con.
Oh my God. But while she's conning my mom, she's conning dozens of other people, but no one's talking about it because of a red flag I write about. I call it the red flag of TMI. too much information. When you meet a con artist, they start sharing their deep, dark secrets very quickly. And that does two things. Number one, it makes you feel like, wow, they must really
trusted
trust
confidant.
me.
Yeah.
Like to tell me all this crazy stuff about themselves. They must really trust me. And the second thing it does is it makes you think you can trust them.
Right.
So
Well, and
you
it-
start telling them your deep, dark secrets.
It also triggers the psychological reciprocation.
Absolutely.
Like if you feel somebody trusts you, you want to reciprocate trust back to them.
And that is human nature.
Yeah.
And they are brilliant at using human nature against other humans. It's like when you wave, somebody waves back. When you, how are you? Good. How are you? Like we all respond in kind to what's given to us. So you have a stranger suddenly becoming a good friend or a love interest, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. They start telling you their deep, dark secrets. Then you're going to tell them your deep, dark secrets.
Yeah.
And here's what that does. Their deep, dark secrets are fake. Yours are real. They know your deep, dark secrets. So by the time the money exchanges hands and you've been scammed, the last thing in the world you want to do is tell anyone or go to police because you don't want your deep, dark secrets in a police report or, God forbid, a court transcript.
Right.
So you keep quiet. And that was my mom's situation. She kept quiet. And everyone that this woman I grew up with, scammed, kept quiet. It was only since I had I came out with my story. And my mom told me, confessed, like, remember this woman? She scammed me out of $20,000. And I saw this other friend in the supermarket and she scammed her too. And I saw another friend on an airplane, she scammed her too. And I'm like, Mom, that's like, how many people do you think? A lot. Like, but nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
And that is not an anomaly. Were it not for me being public with my story, my mother never would have told me that. I would never have known. These people are everywhere and no one's talking about it.
Yeah. Do you know any sort of like nationwide statistics? On
No,
these
I mean,
things?
it's way more than's being reported. It's the greatest crime not being reported because they masquerade as friendly, loving people. And by the time they get your money, you are debilitated, you're devastated, but you're not talking. I can't tell you how many victims call me for help. And the first thing out of their mouth is, if I go to police, do I have to use my name? And I'm like, lady, that's the least you have to do. Of course you have to use your name, but everyone is so terrified. They're ashamed they got scammed,
Right.
but they're scared to go after the con artist because the con artist knows where all the bodies are buried. They got
Sure.
receipts. They know the deep, dark secrets, one of the red flags.
And they're a psychopath. At minimum,
They are-
sociopath. Like
Right,
they
right.
are willing, by definition, to do things that you are not willing to do.
Absolutely.
Like you have to break something in your brain to all of a sudden get on the same wavelength that they're on. It's like, well, I don't know what they're capable of. At the end of the day, I lost 25 grand. That sucks. But hey, it's 25 grand. Compared to like,
absolutely
I chase after
psychopaths.
this person, I put them in court, I ruin their life. What are they willing to do to me? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I would prefer just to
Let it
let
move on.
it go.
Yeah,
and
that's
just-
most victims.
Yeah.
But I was different. And I keep asking myself, why am I different? Like, when I found out she got my money, long story short,
Yeah, I was gonna say let's start.
Yeah.
Let's start at the top on this one.
Yeah.
because this is obviously the origin story here.
it
How
is
did
the
this
origin
happen?
story, and it made me who I am. And, people say, have you forgiven her? I mean, you can only forgive another human being. I don't think she's human. I don't think she has a soul. These people don't have a soul, So I've forgiven myself, but I don't, it's like, can you forgive an animal?
Yeah.
Like an animal, a shark's just going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Is there anything to forgive? That's just who they are. That's their nature. So I live in a building in downtown Los Angeles. We have this really nice, Mediterranean style pool, and it got taken away from us. And because of a legal spat with another building that was sharing the pool, and we couldn't use the pool. So only looking back now, I realize what was going on in her mind. She was a new neighbor. I didn't know her at this point.
Okay.
But I take it upon myself because I'm like a do-gooder. I put flyers up everywhere. I start galvanizing our residents, like, let's get the pool back. Let's do something about this. Let's right this wrong. So my con artist was probably looking at that flyer, licking her chops, thinking, this is a do-gooder.
Yeah.
I'm going to make him do good for me. And that's exactly what she did. She came to the meeting in my living room that I organized for all the residents. She took over the meeting. She offered to help everyone. She said her boyfriend was a wealthy politician who sued our building. He works at this law firm and he can get the pool back, no problem. People cheered. She had the answer. She offered to help. And she not only got into my life, she ended up scamming a bunch of people in my building, over the years. People who have not file police reports and, kind of are keeping it on the hush hush. But yeah, she scammed a lot of people. So we became fast friends. She took my husband and I out for dinner that night or the night after. She wanted to thank me, and she started unpacking her story. She's from Ireland. She had a weird accent. She even had a copy of the Irish Constitution hanging in her living room, parchment paper, and there's like a signature. She said, "That's my great-great-grandfather, the founder of Ireland. Stories from faraway places." Yeah. I don't know that's not her great-great.
Well, it's impossible to verify.
Exactly.
What are you going to do, fly to Dublin?
Exactly. So it made sense. And I confided in her. At the time, I had recently come out as gay, and my family had kind of disowned me, part of my family. I hadn't been home for Christmas in like almost 8 years.
Wow.
And then she pounces. She's like, "Well, my family disowned me too, because they're trying to get me disinherited," And she starts unpacking this special con just for me. Her family trying to get her disinherited. They hate her. Her great, and all these names, Tristan and Dermot, all these Irish names. And she would show me text messages and emails from all these people, which is another red flag I write about, technology. Con artists use technology to sell their stories. If someone is trying to get you, to believe things based on digital screens, cell phones, iPads, computers, and I've seen this done. Here's my bank balance. It's fake. Here's a text from Tristan. It's a Google account she created to text herself as Tristan and show me that text. Like, this is something con artists do. Regular people do it too. But if there are other red flags waving, you're probably dealing with a con. So that's what she did to me. She built this whole family hated her. I'd see all these texts calling her the C word. She'll never get a bloody farthing was the word they used, which in English is like a English penny or
Pennies,
something.
Yeah.
So it all tracked. And at the end of the day, and I want to punch myself in the face when I say this, but it's the truth, I was helping an Irish heiress get her inheritance, This is a woman over the course of 4 years I loved like a sister.
But that's what you're talking about, though. 4 years.
Yeah.
This wasn't on a weekend trip to Mexico where you met a sketchy person. You know what I mean? 4 years is a long time.
Yeah. And she is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant woman. I would come to her place sometimes, and she just got a bad, text from her cousin Tristan calling her the C word and saying something really nasty. And she would just break down crying. And I held her, and her tears wet my shirt.
Great.
And there was no way you could have convinced me this isn't real. Like, the tears, like Demi Moore in Ghost kind of tears, And I rocked her, and she convulsed. But all of that was fake, All of that was, there was no family. Her real family is from Maine, and they disowned her years ago when she went around the neighborhood telling everyone she had cancer and needs money for treatment, but don't tell my family. I'm so ashamed. I'm so embarrassed, And they donated thousands of dollars for her cancer.
Wow.
And then when her family found out, they were livid. And at that point, that was one straw too many. They kicked her out, and she joined the Navy. So this is the kind of person we're dealing with. Long story short, I start helping her. The family paid off a dirty district attorney to freeze her bank accounts and make up some charges against her from her employer. And I just believed the whole thing because at that point, I loved her. We weren't just neighbors or friends. We were two discarded souls, bonding in Los Angeles. Right. We were each other's family. Like, we would end phone calls, I love you. Like, I loved her as much as any gay man can love a woman. I loved her. And another red flag she pulled out on me that a lot of con artists use, I call it the red flag in the book of beak wedding. They show you a little money up front to gain your confidence. She had borrowed close to $5,000. She paid me back the next day. Or she had another victim she scammed pay me back. I didn't know that at the time, but that's what it was. Another victim
she's recycling money from the scheme.
Exactly. Yeah. But that did the trick because it made me think, this is a woman of her word. I lend her money, she gives me back. She gives me, confidence in her. And for those who don't know, con artist is short for confidence artist because they are skilled at gaining your confidence. And sure enough, that beak wedding worked great because the next time she asked me for $10,000, no problem, here you go. Yeah. Ultimately, I lost close to $100,000 trying to help an Irish heiress get her inheritance. Yeah. And after that happened, after I realized, I confronted her.
Yeah, let's talk through. So you're 4 years in on this.
Yes. And over the 4 years, I'm giving a little money here, giving a little money there. They freeze her accounts. I'm paying her rent.
Yeah.
Then in the end, she's like, for this case to go, they made up this BS case against me and I'm going to get it. And I'm seeing she's showing me emails, the red flag of technology, emails from her barristers in Ireland. I didn't even know what a barrister was. It's what they call lawyers over there. So this is real. I have no doubt. So the email says, and from her attorney that she just needs $50,000 to pay these court fees and whatever, and she'll get her inheritance and the family will be gone and everything will be great. And I'm like, okay. So
And of course she'll pay you back with the money from her inheritance.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. People ask me, well, were you worried? I'm like, not at all. I knew she had like millions of dollars coming, and she'd paid me back in the past, and I loved her like a sister. No, I had no doubt at all. So, yeah, when I did find out, how I realized it was a con, I caught her in one lie, and then I started digging. Up until that point.
Like a pretty small one, or?
A big one. So she had gone to jail for 30 days. She said it was because the judge in this case that was getting dismissed, that she needed the legal fees paid, was angry that I let her charge my credit card. He called it money laundering. And at the time, now I'm like a lawyer, but at the time I hadn't been to court in like 20 years for like a traffic ticket. Like I didn't know anything about money laundering or criminal or anything. Like, I'm a TV producer. Like I don't know anything about court. Money laundering, is that what it is? Okay. So she goes to jail for 30 days and she calls me every day. She's in jail. And I just think she's there for this money laundering thing. It's a slap on the wrist. When she gets out, everything's going to be fine. And when I'm talking to her one day, I say, I'm going to come visit you. She's like, no, I don't want you to see me like this. I'm like, this is like my sister. Of course I'm going to come see you. So 2 weeks into her jail, I log on. If you've ever visited someone in jail in LA County, this is how it works. You got to log on to the jail's website. You got to create a profile like Facebook. You got to upload your ID. Then you got to click the inmate you want to visit. And when I click the inmate I want to visit, that's where the charges came up. She wasn't in jail for money laundering. She was in jail for felony grand theft. She had stolen and pled guilty to stealing $200,000 from her employer. She pled guilty. She used the money she scammed from me to pay a plea deal in that case, or she would have gotten a 5-year sentence and not 30 days. But because she came up with so much money from me, she was able to prove to the judge, I'm going to pay this money back, give me a light sentence, I plead guilty. The system rewards criminals for pleading guilty. So she only got a 30-day. So I find out all this out. I'm working on a show called Booze Traveler for the Travel Channel. And I find all this out, and I'm just white. Like I gotta leave. So I go to the courthouse and I pull all the court records in that case I read about online when I wanted to visit her in jail. And sure enough, I find that she's been lying about everything. There is no case against her. There's no DA. There's no money laundering. That was all stuff she made up. This case she's been dealing with is a case where they busted her stealing $200,000 from this travel agency she worked for while she's scamming me, scamming a bunch of other people. And I confront her about it. When she gets out of jail in another 2 weeks, I confront her. I record it.
Like you go to her apartment?
I pick her up from jail. I'm still pretending like I love her.
Everything's all good.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's wild.
Just a quick question for you while we're on our way home.
And I made sure I had parked because I probably would have driven off the road. I was so angry.
Sure.
I was so angry. I confronted her. She denied it. No, that's not true, Johnathan. That's not true. And I'm like, it is true. I'm like, I don't want to see you again until you have a payment. I naively believed she'd pay us back. I didn't know she was a con artist, though. I didn't know I'd go on to find 40-something other victims. So I do go to police days later, and the police officer says to me, I'm sorry, but you gave her the money. This isn't a crime. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, like this is not a crime. And at first I accepted that.
Yeah.
And I walked away. But moments later, I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And I came back with a force. I'm like, look at all the evidence I have. These are texts. These are emails. Look at what she did. She scammed. I found a bunch of other victims. Like, this is a crime. Like, and I made my case. I'm like, when people claim to be from the IRS and they steal $10,000 from someone over the phone, that's a crime. They get prosecuted. This is a crime. And he was so impressed with my storytelling and all the evidence I gathered, a mountain on his desk. He's like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, at the time, I told him, I'm a TV producer. He's like, any shows I would have heard of? And I pull out the big one because I did season 4 of Shark Tank.
Okay.
So I'm like, Shark Tank. And his eyes light up. He's like, I've been trying to pitch something to the sharks for years. And I'm like, look, I'll help you. Yeah. Help me.
Yeah.
And he took a police report. And he gave me the most valuable information, and I give this to all victims. He said, you have to call about your case every day. And I'm like, why? Because I always thought you file a police report and they handle it, it's done, they'll call you if they need you.
Yeah.
No. You file a police report, 10,000 other police reports go on top of it. So every time you call about your case, it gets taken from the bottom of the pile, placed on the top of the pile, there's some discussion, and then they move on. So I started calling every day. I became such a pain in their ass. I started calling every day. But at that point, I didn't trust the process. So I started my own investigation. I started a website, a blog, telling my story, like big picture of her. Don't give this woman any money.
Yeah.
She scammed me. Don't believe a word she says. She's a liar. She's convicted. And I, had posted the court records from the other conviction. And trickling in every day, I start getting calls from other people she's scamming.
Really?
Using that name and other
Like
names.
they had just found the website somehow?
Because they were Googling, they'd found her legal name. The name she gave me was Mare Smith. Her legal name was Mary Ann Elizabeth Smith. So every time I found a new name, either in court records or whatever, I put it there. I found
all of her fake names.
Yes, she had like 23 different aliases. So every time I found one, I tagged, so it would come up in a search, and sure enough, it did. And I get a call from that Newport Beach engineer guy I told you about.
Oh, yeah.
Thanking me. He was living with her at the time. The scam she had for him, she was getting an inheritance, $25 million, and she was going to buy, she's in love with this guy. They're dating for like a year.
Jeez.
Yeah, a year. This is the facade he bought
and
for a year.
That violation of that trust in a dating relationship too, how do you even trust again after that?
Yeah.
That's wild. A full year of like sharing a bed with somebody, sharing a toothbrush with somebody.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, but that's how they are. That's why they have no soul, and she doesn't feel bad at all. So she had convinced him this inheritance is coming, doing the same tricks that she did with me, the showing the emails and the texts, the cousins or whatever, except in that story, they loved her. Her family loved her, and they want to buy her this big mansion in Newport Beach. Listen to how far you can get on chutzpah and confidence. She gets a realtor in Newport Beach. They start touring these multi-million-dollar homes. She gets a home inspection. She puts an offer in on this $12 million home. And she tells the guy, I'm going to put your name on this. I want to own this with you. And he's like, no, I can't have you do that. If our relationship goes south, I'll own half your home. She's like, okay, to make it fair then, just add my name to the titles of your two homes. So she draws up the paperwork for him to add his name to the titles, to him to add her name to the titles of his homes. God. And that's when his ex-wife calls him. He had 2 kids. So Mare, my con artist, was spending a lot of time with his 2 kids. And the ex-wife is like, who the hell is this new woman, Mare Smith, spending all this time around my kids? She Googles Mare Smith, up pops my blog, out pop her eyes.
Wow.
She prints everything out. She calls him. She's like, hey, I need to see you now. He's with Mare. He's like, all right, Mare and I will come. She's like, no, I need to see you alone. Come alone. Because she was staying at his house at the time.
Jesus.
Because she'd been convicted from where she lived with me because she was pretending to have cancer again. She hadn't paid rent in 6 months. Our landlord believed she had cancer, was in the hospital. But I confronted the landlord and told her, no, this is a con woman. She scammed me. I found other victims. And then they started the eviction proceedings. So she was persona non grata at our apartment building. So she told Bob the sprinkler system malfunctioned and the entire building was flooded. So she has to move out. So she was staying in his house.
Wow.
So Bob meets with the ex-wife, I think at a park
It's
nearby.
wild to be doing this simultaneously.
I know.
The sheer
Bob, 20 other
volume
people.
of lies that you have to keep up with, like situational lies, where like I'm with these people, this is the story. I'm with these people, this is the story.
Yeah,
That's
it's a lot.
crazy.
She's brilliant.
Yeah,
listen,
I mean, you have to be.
She's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm part of me. I'm envious. I wish I could come up with these kinds of storylines, but I'm merely
great
immortal.
TV, you know?
Yeah. So Bob meets his wife his ex-wife at the park. She gives him the blog she printed out and says, this is Mare Smith. Do you know about this? And he's like, no. So he goes home where she is and he confronts her. He says, here's a blog I found about you. And she doesn't say a word. She turns around, walks out of his house, runs to her car, drives away. Never comes back. Doesn't say a word. They have no soul.
No kidding, man.
No soul. So Bob ultimately helped me prosecute her. So eventually I find so many victims and so many stories that police have to
They
file
can't
charges.
ignore it
Right.
now.
It took them a year. They interviewed me like a dozen times.
Yeah.
But eventually, and I got some press coverage. Like eventually I put the heat on. And I write about how to do this in the book.
Okay.
When you get conned, you can't just go to police, boo-hoo, I got conned. You got to build a case. You know, pitching a criminal case to police is a lot like pitching a television show to a network executive. You got to make it sexy. You got to have a beginning, middle, and an end. You're the protagonist. Then you have to have evidence, and you have to Vanna White the evidence to them.
Yeah.
This is the phone record, this is the text, this is the email, this is the bank record that proved they got the money, this is the story they told me, here's proof of that.
You essentially have to
work.
convince them that your case is worthy of being prioritized with the limited resources that they have available to investigate.
And you have to make it easy for them because, again, we're all human beings. We like easy.
Yeah.
They don't want to do anything.
Right.
You know, it's not that they don't want to do anything. They are drowning in murders
Sure,
and
right,
robberies
exactly.
and rapes.
Yeah, homicides and-
exactly.
yeah.
So I got conned. They'll just tell you it's not a crime. Go to civil court. You gave her the money, which that's what they tell. That's what they tell all the victims.
Yeah.
So eventually they file charges.
So 12 months of building a case against this woman.
Yeah.
Finding dozens of other. How many people do you think total?
Close to 50.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's so many more.
From like 20 years ago, like
yes,
within the last 12
a lot
months?
in LA, Florida, New York, Michigan, Maine, and all the way in Northern Ireland. Oh, this gets good. So I get a call from a police detective in Northern Ireland, found my blog. He says, I can't do Irish accent. We've been looking for her for 10 years.
I appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
That was honestly
We've
not
been
that
looking.
long.
Always after me like a charms. I can't do an Irish accent.
10 years.
He had been looking for her for 10 years. She lived, so she wasn't Irish, but she lived in Northern Ireland for like 8 years, early 2000s to like 2008, 2009. And while she was there, she scammed 24 people out of $500,000 and disappeared. They didn't know where she was. Well, now they did. This was 2017. So I make friends with this Northern Ireland guy. He's impressed with me, and he's grateful. He's like, we're going to start extradition proceedings. So that's 2017. You know, she gets convicted in my case in 2019. There's a trial a year later. A year investigation, a year later there's a trial. Bob testifies, a few other victims testify. Her own daughter flies out from Tennessee to testify. She used her daughter as a child to scam people. Yeah, in Northern Ireland. So as all this is going on, you know,
Talk
I'm
about
living
trauma.
my own reality
How old was
show.
her daughter at this time?
At the time, for the scams, like 7, 8, 9, 10.
And so she's testifying as an adult.
Right, she's
20s.
testifying as an adult. Yeah, about what a POS her mother is.
Yeah.
You know, lying, cheating, POS. So, she gets convicted. She gets sentenced to jail in 2019. She gets a 5-year sentence, but COVID happens a year later, and she gets out early because in California, they release 10,000 inmates from jail and prison because of COVID.
Yeah.
So she gets out,
Smart.
disappears. Yeah. So while all this is happening, I'm in touch with the police detective in Northern Ireland. I'm updating him every time I find a new victim. I start a podcast, Queen of the Con. It's a huge hit. We're at 15 million downloads now and counting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And season 1 is about her and my quest to bring her to justice. And the podcast ends with she disappears, she's out of jail, I don't know where she is, she could be anywhere. Well, the podcast is so far reaching, I start getting contacted by listeners. Hey, I think Mare is my new neighbor, but she's using this name. Hey, I saw her at the supermarket. Hey, she scammed me. She's in Maine. So I find out exactly where she is. She's living out of Airbnbs in and around small towns in Maine, scamming people. She started a satanic church. She changed her name to Lucia Balaya.
Wow.
And one of the people who recorded this satanic ceremony of one of her rituals sends it to me. So it's her in a black robe wielding a giant silver knife. As the candles illuminate her glasses, you see the flickering flame, and she's like, Father Satan, I summon you. It's the craziest effing thing. You'd think it was staged.
Wow, no kidding.
But
yeah.
she started a satanic church.
That's crazy.
And changed her name to Lucia Balaya.
Yeah.
So,
very close to Lucifer.
yes. I mean, yeah.
Make yourself more trustworthy to start a satanic
well,
church.
she had figured she could scam this class of people who'd be loath to report her because who's going to take a Satanist seriously?
Yeah. So I was in this satanic cult, and the
Right.
leader of my satanic cult turns out not a good person.
Exactly. You know? That was her calculus, absolutely.
Yeah.
But she was wrong. They may not have gone to police, but they called me and they sent me this stuff, and I sent it to Northern Ireland. So I think was the straw that broke that extradition camel's back, because shortly after that, and every time I find a new address for her, a new Airbnb, I send it to them too.
Yeah.
So last year, this is like almost 5 years after she got out of jail for scamming me. She's free as a bird in Maine, scamming as Lucia Balaya, and she started another scam doing rescue missions in the Ukraine. She was raising money. You know, she had a bunch of scams going as per usual. So knock, 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 5 U.S. Marshals show up to her Airbnb and arrest her. And she is extradited. This was not this past February 2024.
Okay.
There's an extradition hearing in Maine. I fly out to it. And here is what a brilliant woman she is. And here is how infinitely believable she is. I'm in a federal courthouse now. An extradition hearing is a federal case. They take my computer, my phone, everything. It's only me and the shirt on my back allowed in the courtroom. Me, and I bring a couple other victims, and there's a news reporter there too. So she's in shackles. She's in like an orange jumpsuit. She's shackled. And there's a U.S. Marshal, a woman, a butchy woman. I'll tell you why that's relevant. A very butchy woman, thick, short hair, U.S. Marshal, guarding her, walking her over to the courtroom seat, sitting her down, unshackling her, and then reshackling her and walking her back. So the court hearing is like 5 hours, and there's a recess, and I'm in the front row with the victim, another victim. I shouldn't have been in the front row. They told me later that's only for like law enforcement, but I didn't know that. So as she's walking out, they call a recess. She's walking out. All of a sudden, this U.S. Marshal, who presumably has decades of experience, she looked to be in her 40s, in this kind of criminal kind of stuff, this world, she's walking her by me, and the federal marshal puts her hands up to block me as if I was going to jump her. And I'm like this.
Like you're the criminal?
I'm shocked at what's happening. I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, oh my God. So Mayor convinced this woman that I'm going to attack her in federal court in front of a judge and however many law enforcement agents standing there. Like that, yeah, she did.
Right.
And as soon as they left, I made a big stink about it. And I never saw that marshal again. Yeah. I'm like, did you all just see that a while ago? And I told the reporter from the London Times who was there, like, I'm going to attack her? Like, I flew all the way cross country to come to this hearing to attack her in the federal. Really? Is that the story this woman believes? Like, you got to get this woman off the case.
Her sentence.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how convincing she is,
right.
Right. So she gets extradited in July of last year.
Okay.
And she's been sitting in jail in Northern Ireland since. And the trial is scheduled for September now.
Wow.
It's been pushed a bunch of times, just like the LA trial. But yeah, so I made that happen. If I'd kept quiet,
she would just be on to her next con.
On to her next.
And she would have taken that dude's houses for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and she would, God, I don't know how many people I've saved from her.
Yeah.
Not only putting her out of commission, but I write this in the book. Publicity is like kryptonite to con artists.
Yeah.
It puts them out of commission. It's hard for them to scam if they're on the local news being accused of scamming XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
So lo and behold, my story gets a lot of press coverage. Like ABC News did an hour-long special called The Con on it, And I started getting contacted by hundreds and hundreds, literally hundreds of victims of other con artists telling me I inspired them, asking for my help, telling me they want to bring their con artist to justice. So, I'm producing television shows in the daytime. So on my free time, I start helping. Some people play golf on the weekends. I hunt con artists. So I start looking into all these cases, and hundreds of cases over the past 8 years. And in a few months, I start to realize, wait a minute. The way that all these victims are getting scammed, all these techniques that these con artists are using, they're identical.
Yeah, they're the same.
They're identical. The names change, the places change, the con changes, but the techniques are the techniques.
The structure's the same.
And so then I start making note of it, right? And I write an article for the HuffPost, the red flags of every con artist. And I get a call from this big time lit agent, Jenna Landfree, It's like, hey, I just read your article. I think it would make a great book. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not an author. She's like, listen, if I can sell it, can you write it? And I'm like, yeah, I have a ton of cases I can write about, sure. And pitched to Penguin Random House, sold it.
Nice.
Took me 2.5 years, wrote it, and it was the most fulfilling experience of my life to date. And I am 50. Just fleshing all this out and figuring all this out. And these 14 red flags, red flag number 1, they offer to help. Red flag number 2, too kind, too quick. Red flag number 3, drama, drama, drama. Another red flag I write about, isolation. Con artists, mine isolated me. They isolate you. Yeah. They want to get you away from people who will talk you out of going along with them. And isolating someone is so easy to do. You just say, hey, Travis, Mark over there said that you were born with a vagina. So you think Mark is talking smack about you. No, you're not talking to Mark. Are you going to go confront Mark? Probably not, because you're a polite guy. You're just going to avoid him. And then she's telling Mark stuff you said about him. So he avoids you. That's what mine did to me. That's what they all do. Isolation's a red flag. So in the end, I did a podcast, wrote a book, I made some money. I'm kind of glad I got conned. Yeah. Not just because of the money, but because I like who it turned me into. I liken her to like a vaccine. Mm-hmm. It makes you sick, it puts you down, but ultimately you get stronger. You're not going to fall for that stuff again.
Yeah, that's ultimately what struggle is all about in life anyway,
Yes, and I feel like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, so LA, right? I feel like God or the universe or something primed me for this, because everyone always asks me, well, why weren't you ashamed? Weren't you ashamed? Weren't you ashamed? And I really was never ashamed.
Yeah.
When I went to police and when I started the blog, never for a second did I contemplate, well, what are people going to think? Never entered my mind. And that's the opposite. Every other victim, that's the first thing that enters. What are people going to think? And I've been struggling to figure out why that is in my own life. And there are 2 reasons, I think, why it is. Number 1, I went to school. I have a degree in broadcast journalism. I got my first on-air television job in San Antonio, circa 2000. Okay. I was on the air in San Antonio. It was a big deal. And I was a feature reporter, so I did the light, funny stuff in town. I'd go out all day, shoot a story, come back, edit it, write it, front it in the studio. So my first night on the air, this is like a seminal moment in my life. I do this really funny story. Well, I think it's really funny. Everyone thought it was really funny. The anchors cracked up. I get back in the newsroom. Now, keep in mind, I'm 24 years old, never been on television before. Mm-hmm. This is my first on air, and I kicked its ass, right? Anchors are laughing. I walk back into the newsroom. Reporters are standing, ovation. Producers, the guy who hired me, Alan Little, God rest his soul, clapping.
Patting himself on the back. Yeah.
Oh my God, I felt like a king of the effing world. It was an out-of-body experience. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my God. I go over to my desk less than a minute later. I sit down at my desk and I get my first viewer voicemail. And it's this angry Texas woman. She's like, can I curse on this show? Because she cursed. Yeah. You bald-headed motherfucking faggot. You so fucking ugly. How the hell you get on TV, bald-headed motherfucking faggot? I wasn't even out yet. So that's a whole other level of cringe, right? I was in the closet. I was dating women. So
how did she know?
Right. It's everything, right? So I had to pretend like it didn't bother me. I went home that night crying, coiled in the fetal position, going to bed.
After crushing it.
I wanted to quit. Yeah. I thought to myself, I can't do this. Who am I? Am I this amazing TV reporter that gets a standing ovation? Or am I this bald-headed motherfucking faggot, too ugly? Who am I? Yeah. I don't know. But over the ensuing weeks, I quickly figured out I can't look to people for their opinions because, God, they all have so many varying opinions. And who's right, who's wrong? No one. No one's right, no one's wrong. They're all right, they're all wrong. Mm-hmm. I got to know how, if I'm going to do this job, and, I did this job successfully. I won 4 Emmys. Mm-hmm. I was good. Mm-hmm. But I had to realize I can only trust my own opinion. I need to have an opinion, and I'll stick with what I think. Yeah. So that was a pivotal lesson. And the next thing that happened when I came out at age 30, that's another thing. Most people who are out, it's not a relief for their family. Mm-hmm. Most people, it doesn't go over well. Yeah. So any openly gay person has already resign themselves to accepting, not everyone's going to like this, but I don't care. I can't live by their opinions. So it's that twofold thing that I think enabled me when I got conned and I went public.
You already kind of had the calluses built.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I had the calluses built. It never occurred to me. What are people going to think?
Did you ever read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Talking to Strangers?
Yes.
So it reminds me a lot
Malcolm
of
Gladwell.
Because like that book to me was like a master class in this exact concept, because your initial thought is like, I'm never going to trust anybody again.
Yeah.
And or you again start shaming yourself or feeling embarrassed for falling for this thing. And I see this a lot because my background is kind of from like a fundamentalist cult. And so I see a lot of people in kind of that cult world too, where like, I can't believe I fell for that. And they feel this like deep shame and, there's other things that come with it. But ultimately, like my biggest takeaway from that book was just saying that like, because it is such a low percentage, like in terms of total interactions with people over the course of your life compared to the number of people who are actually there to hurt you or harm you in some way, you still can't allow it to prevent you from being a kind, loving, caring, open-hearted person, or else you end up just being a miserable shell of yourself in the end but nobody got over on me again, and it's like, okay.
So you shut the world out,
right,
and you think you're winning, but
right.
you're not, because you shut the world out.
Yeah, it's just that the black swans are black swans for a reason. That's why they're called black swans. You can't predict it. It doesn't make anybody less than or less intelligent than or less, perceptive than anybody else. It's just, we're all humans trying to do human things, and most other humans are also going to be on the same page.
Yeah.
However, a book like yours is so timely because you do need to at least train yourself to be aware and not 100% naive that it does definitely exist.
Yes, 1,000%. And I'm not the same. I'm still kind and generous, and I try to help people as much as I can, but I'm deeply suspicious, but I keep that to myself.
Yes.
I subscribe to different background check sites. I'm working on my private investigator's license. When a new person comes into my life, I background check them. And I have this fantasy. If I would have met Mare, the woman who scammed me, the Irish heiress, if I would have met her today for the first time, knowing what I know about con artists, would I be able to tell she's a con artist?
Great question.
And the answer is abso-effing-lutely within the first 20 minutes.
Really? 20 minutes is all you need?
Because she was waving all these flags from the beginning.
20 minutes, wow.
From the beginning, she was waving all these flags.
Do you ever get that feeling from somebody and then catch yourself being like, no, it's definitely not this person?
I do. I'm suspicious of everyone.
Yeah.
But I background check them. If I can't find a criminal record or I can't find lawsuits or anything, I'm
in my head on this one.
Let's see. Maybe I'm just, But I know how to keep that to myself.
Sure.
So I'm friendly.
Sure.
I'm friendly. And I will never be the same. But what I love about the red flags, and I hear this again and again from listeners of the podcast and people who know my story, I got an email, and this is one of the best emails I've ever received in my life. And this is why I wrote the book, this email. She's a college professor. Can't say the university. She doesn't want publicity. College professor, to show you she's a smart woman. Mm-hmm. She emails to thank me. She said, thank you for sharing your story about Mare. There's a woman in my life who is doing the exact same thing. Different names, different places, but all the same techniques that Mare used on you. And when I saw them in your story, I recognized them in mine. And there was a dramatic situation. She asked for money, and I turned her away. I said no, and I'm no longer friends with her. She was trying to con me, and I would not have recognized that. Because these red flags, once I point them out, they're easy to spot. It's similar to you go down to New York Times Square, right? And crowds of people are walking by you. You don't really notice anything. So if I say to you later, hey, did you see the guy with the brown hat and the glasses? You'd be like, did I? I don't know. I didn't notice anyone.
Right.
But if I send you to Times Square and say, hey, there's a guy with a brown hat and glasses, keep your eyes peeled. Bam, you spot him right away. If you know what the red flags look like, you can spot them right away.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you'll just think the super kind woman offered to help me. There's a lot of drama. She's isolated. She's telling me stories about other people. Her whole life is stories from faraway places. That's a powerful one.
Yeah.
Stories from faraway places.
Yeah.
And they also you've heard of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Well, that's every con artist handbook.
Yeah, they study it, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It's red flag number 14, the Dale Carnegie techniques, right? And Dale Carnegie, God rest his soul, great man.
Yeah.
He was just trying to help people sell
those are
more
great
stuff.
techniques.
Great techniques, very effective.
Especially for introverted, antisocial people. Like those are good things
very
to employ
effective.
still. Yeah.
But you know, they use human nature.
Yeah.
To
Psychology.
Yeah. So I never knew about this. When in the 4 years I knew my con artist, she would always use my name when she talked to me. You know, Johnathan, blah, blah, Johnathan, blah. Even in text, and Johnathan, blah, blah, Johnathan, blah, blah. I never do that. And it always struck me as weird, but, you know, I let it go. That is a go-to Dale Carnegie technique.
Absolutely.
Because he writes in his book, a person's name to that person is the sweetest sound they've ever heard. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, cumulatively, these 14 red flags in my book, if you read the book, you can avoid getting conned. If you've been conned, the last 2 chapters I dedicate to fighting back. Here's what you do. You can't just go to police, boo-hoo-hoo, I got conned.
Yeah.
You got to build a case. Here's how to write an affidavit. I also tell everyone to freeze their credit immediately. We should all be freezing our credit. It's free. You create an account with 3 different, you know, credit bureaus, and no one can take out a loan in your name once it's frozen. Because here's the truth of the matter that nobody wants to face. Your name, your date of birth, your social is already out there.
Yeah.
It's been leaked. All these leaks you read about, these bank leaks, these social security hacks, all that info ends up on the dark web. And there are cons brokering it, selling it as collections.
Yeah.
And the only reason why someone hasn't gotten a loan in your name yet, they just haven't gotten to you. Like they're millions and millions of people, and they're not millions and millions of scammers doing that. So it takes them a while to get to everybody, but they'll eventually get to you. So make sure you freeze your credit, because once it's frozen, nobody can get a loan.
You go directly to the credit bureau to do that?
Yeah, you go to each website, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. You start an account. It's free. As you're going through the system to freeze your credit, they'll throw a box up. Hey, subscribe to this, credit monitoring, blah. No. They're very crafty.
Yeah.
Don't subscribe to anything. It's free. By law, it is free.
Yeah.
You freeze your credit. It's just click it, free. I was buying a car
So that
the
just
other
means
day.
that if you're going to go get a loan, you have to call in and unfreeze.
And I forgot to unfreeze. Yeah. So I'm buying a car. This is like a couple months ago with my husband. We're at the dealership, and the guy comes back, your credit doesn't exist. Like, did you freeze your credit? I'm like, oh crap, my credit's frozen. Yes, hang on.
Yeah.
Pulled out my phone, logged in, unfreeze, got the car.
Got it.
Freeze. You just have to remember. But it works. I didn't have any credit.
Huh.
You know, if it's frozen.
That's a good quick hack right away. Are there any other things like that you recommend? Like right off the bat? Even especially because we have a lot of younger listeners too. Like if people are concerned even for their elderly parents or they have grandparents or great-grandparents, whatever it is, like they're concerned for that demographic, is there something that they can do to help them out as well?
Yes. So a reoccurring case that keeps coming up is dealing with the elderly, right? These con artists, regular people will avoid, calamity and bad news and, a disaster. They will run from it, a regular person. But a con artist and a news reporter will run towards it. The news reporter wants to report on it. The con artist wants to take advantage.
Exploit it, yeah.
So especially in Florida, where a lot of people retire and get old, a con artist will move in next door, will move into a neighborhood, and they start working the elderly. Because here's
offering help.
The sad truth is, a lot of people don't call their mom enough. A lot of people don't call their dad enough. A lot of people don't spend time with their grandparents. So if you're a young person with a grandparent, go spend some time. Go make some dates, go bowling, play cards, do something, get involved in their lives, because they're lonely and they're desperate for a friend. Con artist shows up as a friend. They're going to help you put that cabinet together. They're going to help you fix your car. They're going to teach you about the computer. And while they're teaching you, they're going to clean out your bank account. And in a lot of these cases I hear about, the elderly person, and this is a common thing, they will defend the con artist. No, they're helping me. You don't understand. The family stands by
Stockholm
watching
syndrome.
the plunder happen, and there's nothing they can do till it's over.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can do, and this is something...
Because they're willfully doing it.
Right, and they're not going to report a crime.
Yeah.
Will Smith taught us all this when he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars that year. We all saw the crime. That was assault. It was watched by millions of people around the world. But police never filed charges. You never arrested him. Why? because Chris Rock did not want to press charges. So there's nothing anyone can do.
Right.
So this is a common thing with the elderly. So I would tell the young people, go visit your grandparents, make dates, find out what's happening. Who are their friends?
Buy them a copy of this book.
Yes, buy them a copy of this book, Anatomy of a Con Artist. Can you believe I'm an author?
That's great, man. That's great. Add it to the resume. Add it to the
Hell
resume.
yeah.
We
Hell
even
yeah.
talk about any of your television stuff.
Yeah, I moved out to LA in 2007. I was a funny feature reporter.
Okay.
I got fired. I was at the CBS station in Houston. We got a new news director who hated me. And this guy looked like the prison warden from Shawshank Redemption. He had the slick back hair, he had the glasses,
the cool glasses,
and he had it in for me. So he fired me. But in that firing, I thought of a show that I want to do called Some Stupid Show, like funny journalism. And I put together, I didn't know what it was called at the time, but it was a sizzle reel. I put together a sizzle reel, all these funny stories I did, and I sent it everywhere. And Comedy Central called, and they were going to give me a shot. Came out here, met with them. They said, if you move out here, we'll give you a shot. So I moved.
Yeah.
And then the writer's strike happened.
What year is this?
This is late 2007, early 2008.
Okay.
And everything went south. I felt so personally, like, I felt it was all about me, but I didn't realize that everyone got screwed. Like that writer's strike put thousands of writers and producers out of work.
Yeah.
All their deals got voided too, So that's how I started working in reality television. But then my first day here, I met my husband. Like everything turned out great.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to go the wrong way to go the right way.
Yeah.
So
just like Steve Jobs always said in that commencement speech was, you can only join the dots when you're looking backwards.
Yes. Oh my
Never
God.
Looking forward.
So profound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking back, I could piece everything together, and I'm glad it happened. I'm glad I got conned.
Yeah.
Look what it turned me into. I'm helping so many people. This book, I am confident, will prevent thousands and thousands of people from getting scammed.
Yeah.
Because once I lay these flags out, you'll see. You're going to spot them.
Anatomy of Con Artist.
The 14 red flags to spot scammers, grifters, and thieves.
Is there anywhere specifically you want people to go to pick that up, or just anywhere books are sold?
Anywhere books are sold.
Okay.
It's out August 19th, but you can pre-order. The Audible will be available too. The audio version, I recorded that. It took me a week. I broke down a couple times, which was surprising.
How was that process?
Compared
to the podcast, how was that process?
Harder to read the book.
Yeah.
And it kind of took me by surprise. I started crying and I had to stop. And there's that, but then I get so angry at myself. I'm like, why is this bothering you? Like, get over it already. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
But you never get over it.
It's not how it works.
No, you never get over it.
Works, unfortunately. Johnathan, podcast, where else can people go to get your stuff besides just the book?
I have a podcast called Queen of the Con. I also have a brand new podcast called Cocaine Air. And it's a con story that turns into a cocaine story. Basically, this guy, TJ Dominguez, by day, he owns and operates the largest Lamborghini dealership in the world. By night, he's flying tons of cocaine for Pablo Escobar. His family has no idea. He goes on to become Pablo Escobar's main cocaine smuggler. He's making, adjusted for inflation, $100 million a month, the equivalent of. He's got 30 airplanes. He's got mansions up and down the Florida coast. He's got a pet mountain lion named Top Cat. He's living the life. But as I point out in episode 1 of Cocaine Air, he only became a drug smuggler because he got conned. His father died. His father was a real estate developer. His father, on his deathbed, said, "Promise me, son," and TJ was 19 at the time, "promise me you'll finish this project I started, this sugar mill that I bought in Haiti to get up off the ground." And TJ promised he would. So TJ tries to secure a loan, and he gets scammed again and again. And that hardens him, and he goes out for revenge and getting even. And that sets him down a dark path, and he becomes a drug smuggler. But that never would have happened if he hadn't, con artists change your life.
Yeah.
Sometimes for the best, like in my situation, sometimes for the worst. You become Pablo Escobar's cocaine guy.
Cocaine Air, H-E-I-R?
No, A-I-R.
Oh, I guess so, yeah, for flying it. Okay.
He was flying it.
Got it, yeah, Cocaine Air, yeah.
And then right after, I don't know when this is going to be on.
Next couple weeks, 2-3 weeks.
In end of August, I have a whole new podcast coming out.
Oh,
it's
great.
called, and I write about this case in my book, it's called The Quarterback and the Con Artist. When retired NFL quarterback Eric Kramer, played for the Bears, played for the Lions, suffered from depression for many years. He checks into a motel room, puts a gun to his head, pulls the trigger. He thinks all his problems are over. but they were really just beginning because he lived, and his family was elated. But for a couple of years, he had the brain of a 6-year-old. And during that time, a tall blonde con artist swoops in, marries him in a secret wedding, and takes over his life and starts robbing him blind. And for the first few years of this occurrence, judges, lawyers, a conservatorship, they're on the con artist's side. They're helping the con artist con him. And it's a hell of a story of how he comes to. He gets his senses back. He gets his mental faculties back. He realizes he's being scammed. And through the help from a friend and other family, he claws his way back and gets this woman charged and convicted. But it looked like it was over there for a while. It's a crazy story.
No kidding.
We interview all the people involved. It's called Quarterback and the Con Artist.
Quarterback and the Con Artist, Cocaine Heir.
Yeah.
And then we have the book, Anatomy of the Con Artist.
Yes.
And Queen of the Con is the first podcast. And this is kind of a seasonal thing, like you do a different
I did
person
6
every
seasons.
season.
I may do another,
Okay,
but
okay.
there's 6 up now.
Okay.
Season 1 is the story of my con artist. You can
Yeah.
hear her. I have secret recordings. And I'm headed to the trial in September in Northern Ireland.
There you go.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I got to look her in the eye. I want her to know that, look, you picked the wrong MFer.
Yeah.
You MFer.
Yeah. Plus, any excuse to go to Northern Ireland.
Yes, it is
a good
beautiful over
excuse.
there. Yeah.
Jonathan, thanks for doing this, sir. This was fascinating. I appreciate the conversation. Like I said, I think it's very timely. I think this is only going to get worse, at least for a period of time, until maybe other AI can help prevent the AI crime. There's going to be, it's going to be the Wild West here for a little bit.
Yes,
So
you are correct.
I appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit more. Go pick up Anatomy of a Con Artist wherever books are sold. And I'm serious, buy a copy for family members of yours too, if you're concerned about anything like that as well. So everybody else listening, tuning in, remember to leave every relationship better than you found it. We'll catch you in the next episode. Peace out.